All right, picture this. You're cruising through Manifold Heights, maybe just heading home after a really long day, and suddenly, clunk, your engine dies. You coast to a stop on the side of the road, and your heart just absolutely sinks. What on earth do you do now? Well, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're taking a massive stack of consumer guidelines, government regulations, and industry data, and distilling it all down into your ultimate survival guide for towing and breakdowns here in Victoria. We're going to get you back on the road safely, and more importantly, without completely emptying your wallet.
Let's quickly run through the game plan. We'll start with what to actually do when your car stops, look at your first line of defense with roadside assistance, break down the real costs of private towing, examine the very strict rules around accident towing, and finally, how to avoid those notorious towing scams.
Section 1. When your car stops.
So, your car just died on the road. What is your very first move? Seriously, ask yourself what you do right this second. The truth is, most drivers absolutely panic. They grab their phones, frantically search for a tow truck near them, and just click the very first link that pops up. But as we're going to see, that lack of a solid plan is exactly how people end up getting hit with extortionate, hidden fees.
Now, let's bust a massive consumer myth right out of the gate using data straight from the RACV. We need to be super clear on the stark difference between roadside assistance and car insurance because they are entirely separate things. Roadside assistance, that's for mechanical failures, flat batteries, punctured tires, or locking your keys in the car. Car insurance, on the other hand, steps in for damage caused by collisions, fire, or theft. Knowing exactly which bucket your emergency falls into dictates your very next phone call.
Section 2. Your first defense, roadside assistance. Let's look at your most proactive tool against getting stranded. What's actually really interesting here is how the pricing structure works for these packages. We pulled this RACV data to show how these proactive plans scale directly based on how far you typically drive. If you're just doing local city commutes in Metro Melbourne, the base roadside care at $144 a year covers towing for up to 20 kilometers. But if you're frequently heading out of town or driving regionally, you can scale up to extra care or total care, which bumps that towing limit all the way up to 100 kilometers for $318 a year.
The big takeaway here is that even a basic tier covers a surprising amount of common everyday mishaps. It's not just about a tow. They'll actually swap out a flat tire with your spare, bring you 5 liters of free fuel just to get you to a petrol station, front up to $200 for a professional locksmith, and even tow a dead electric vehicle to a charging station at zero extra cost. Oh, and you can add up to 6 drivers to the plan for free. It's literally designed to just get your day back on track as fast as possible.
But, and this is a huge but, there is a rigid, absolutely critical rule hidden in the RACV terms and conditions that you need to know. You cannot access breakdown services or towing as a result of a vehicle accident or collision. If your car stopped because you crashed into something or someone crashed into you, your roadside assistance membership is completely void for that specific event. They literally will not touch your car.
Section 3. The cost of private towing.
So, what if your mechanical breakdown exceeds your roadside distance limits, or you just don't have cover? Well, you are entering the completely different world of private towing. We compiled data from the Sheen Group, which is a major collision repair and towing provider, to show you exactly what this looks like. Private towing charges scale directly by distance. A short local trip of 1 to 10 kilometers during standard business hours, that's going to cost you about $143 out of pocket. Jump that distance up to say 41 to 50 kilometers and it hits $187. Anything over 100 kilometers generally requires a custom quote, just because it involves so much more driver time and fuel.
To lock in a fair, accurate price with these private companies, and crucially, without any hidden surprises, you've got to be systematic. According to guidelines from Geelong and District Towing, you need to give the dispatcher these 5 pieces of info right away. Explain the exact situation, provide your personal details, state the make and model of the car so they actually know if they need a special kind of truck, give your current location, and confirm the precise drop-off destination. Whatever you do, don't leave things vague, or you might just see that price magically inflate later on.
Section 4. Rules of accident towing.
Now, remember earlier when we said roadside assistance won't touch accidents? Well, the entire system changes drastically if your car is stopped due to a physical collision. Accident towing in Victoria is not a free market, not at all. It is a heavily regulated service under Victorian law. The government aggressively steps in to regulate the space specifically to prevent vulnerable, totally shocked drivers from being scammed by opportunistic tow trucks at crash scenes. Because of this, only specifically licensed accident tow trucks are legally allowed to attend.
And the government absolutely does not leave pricing to chance. Take a look at this. They actively use a strict mathematical formula that incorporates the Consumer Price Index and productivity adjustments to rigidly lock down fair pricing for the financial year. The tow truck driver cannot just make up a number on the spot.
Luckily, you don't actually have to solve that crazy equation on the side of the road, because we did the math for you. Based on the 2023-2024 Gazette data, the strict base fee for an accident tow, and this includes the first 8 kilometers of travel, is exactly $265.10. That right there is the regulated starting line.
However, you've got to be acutely aware of the legal add-ons. Every single kilometer beyond those first 8 will cost you exactly $4.20. If your crash happens on a weekend or between 5 p.m. and 8 a.m. during the week, boom, there's an automatic $90.50 after-hours surcharge. And if the tow yard needs to store your damaged car because your mechanic is closed, you're going to be paying around $20 to $30 per day, depending on if it's in a locked yard or kept undercover. Knowing these exact numbers is what protects you from fraudulent padding on your invoice.
Section 5. Avoiding towing scams.
All right, let's wrap this up with the actual on-the-ground survival tactics you need to avoid predatory practices in the broader towing industry. Geelong and District Towing points out 4 major pitfalls consumers constantly fall into. First, failing to ask if a company runs around the clock. That can lead to massive hidden after-hours extraction fees if your car gets locked in their yard overnight. Second, not doing a quick background check on their history. Third, forgetting to ask about their service distance, which might mean they drop your car halfway to your mechanic and then charge you to release it. And above all, not confirming your exact quote, including emergency call-out fees and release charges. That is pretty much a guaranteed way to get financially extorted.
But here's a fantastic bonus tip straight from the industry insiders themselves. They explicitly note that you will have a much better chance of getting a reliable, reasonably priced tow if you use a company recommended by your insurance company. Insurers keep very strict preferred supplier lists. These operators are heavily held accountable for their service and their pricing simply because they rely on that steady stream of insurance work. Leveraging that relationship is a phenomenal shield against bad actors.
So that brings us to the single most important question of this entire explainer. Do you have a trusted towing company's number or your roadside assistance details saved in your phone right now? Because if you don't, you are going to be desperately scrolling your phone while stranded on the side of a busy, incredibly dangerous highway, totally vulnerable to whatever sponsored ad pops up first. Take action right now, add that number to your contacts, prepare before disaster actually strikes. And you know, it makes you wonder, if the towing industry is this complex to navigate, what other hidden consumer rights might you be totally unaware of the next time you get behind the wheel? Thanks for joining me on this explainer. Stay safe out there and keep learning.